Hello and welcome to Light Christ. Tonight's service will be a little bit different. We're having a children's event outside to celebrate how they've learned the fruit of the Spirit over the last few months. And I'm going to share a little bit about the fruit of the Spirit with you. This is my favorite wedding sermon, and I share it with couples to help them think about their marriage spiritually and about building a healthy relationship together. But this can help us with any relationship and anything else that we do in the world. Because the Spirit of Christ is a flavor, it's a style, it's an energy that fills all the details of our relationships with others. Paul writes in Galatians 5 that the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. There is no law against such things, and those who belong to Christ Jesus have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. If we live by the Spirit, let us also be guided by the Spirit. Let us not become conceited, competing against one another, envying one another. And that right there is the description of a spirit that will help you face any difficulty that comes along in your life, especially in your relationships with other people. A lifetime of practicing the Spirit of Christ with others will help you grow into the mature, accepting, loving, and spiritually enlightened person that you know you want to be. And that kind of person is the kind of person that our world needs so much. A person who is a light of hope and love to everyone around them. But like all the best things in life, the fruit of the Spirit is much easier to list, to talk about, to study than it is to practice. Why? Well, because the Spirit of Christ is hard. And the Spirit of Christ is hard because love is a risk. Think back to middle school and that guy or girl that made your heart flutter every time they walked into the room. Everything in you wanted to stand on your desk and scream your eternal love for them, or at least pass them a note telling them how you felt. But did you do it? Probably not, because love is a risk. And what if they don't love you back? When you really give yourself to someone, they have all the power over you to crush your heart or to make you fly. And that is a scary thing. When you love, you put your heart in the hands of someone else. And sometimes in life, we all want to withdraw from that risk. We want to hide from it. We want to reserve ourselves and our love. But love is a risk worth taking. And you have to take that risk if you're going to love truly. Love takes courage. The Spirit of Christ is also hard because joy is a choice. Every romantic movie ends at the wrong moment, when the prince and princess kiss for the first time and there are fireworks in the sky. That's the wrong moment because the movie ends with happiness, not with joy. Happiness is a temporary state that comes and goes if we get what we want. I want to see the movie where the prince and princess have serious conflicts in their marriage, but choose to go to marital counseling to work it out. I want to see the movie where the prince and princess have financial troubles and they lose their home, but they work really hard to stay in love and to find joy in each other anyway. I want to see the movie where one of the prince or princesses gets a chronic disease and the other sits by their bed in the hospital and makes them laugh through their tears. That's joy, and real joy doesn't depend on circumstances. Real joy is a choice to face life with a full and open heart no matter what happens. The Spirit of Christ is hard because peace is a sacrifice. In Jesus' time, the world lived under the Pax Romana, the peace of Rome. The Roman Empire achieved peace by totally destroying every single country, tribe, or individual that opposed imperial authority. But Jesus knew that force and violence and conquest can never bring real peace. So instead of raising an army and fighting force with force, he fed the hungry, he taught enlightenment to the poor, he loved his enemies, and even though he was innocent, he let himself be sacrificed on the cross. The end result was that the followers of Jesus got to enjoy real peace with each other. The earliest Christian church was simply a whole bunch of tables all throughout the Roman Empire where slaves and freed people and men and women and Jews and Gentiles and civilized people and barbarians, rich and poor, sick and healthy, where all kinds of different people got to share bread and wine and song and love and joy without violence or force to control them. Real peace means giving up on force and letting others win, because you have a higher goal than just winning. Your goal is life and peace. The Spirit of Christ is hard because patience is work. Everything in our lives is instant. and requires no patience. We don't have to plant seeds to grow our own vegetables because we have grocery stores. We don't have to wait more than 2 days for any object that money can buy because we have Amazon Prime. We don't have to wait to be delighted and entertained. We have Netflix. But there's one area where we do have to wait, and sometimes it takes years and years and years. Personal growth and personal maturity in ourselves and in the people around us can't be rushed. Personal growth and maturity take time. The only thing we can do when we don't meet our own standards or when we need someone close to us to grow up is to wait with patience. And patience is really hard work. The Spirit of Christ is hard because kindness takes courage. When we're hurting from some wound, what we need more than anything is the kindness of our partner, our loved one, our child, our parent. We need a hand on our shoulder that tells us that it's all right. But hurt people usually spread our pain around. We want others to know how we're feeling. And the old cliche is that hurt people hurt people. And so when you see others hurting and you know they need kindness, you know that sometimes there's a risk in helping them, that they might lash out or bite you if you go over to try to calm them down. And that's when we need courage to be kind. And that's when we need tough skin to help other people through their pain, even though we know they might lash out at us when we try to help. The Spirit of Christ is hard because generosity is irresponsible by definition. Saving money for the future is always a better financial decision than helping a guy on the street, but life is more than finances. Are you someone who's responsible all the time, but you're a slave to your accounts? Or are you someone who's generous, someone you're proud to be? Are you generous with your love? Do you have a list of accounts that you use to only love people who love you back, only as much as they love you back? Or can you be generous with your love and create new love all around you? It's an important question because accounting doesn't work in relationships. Only irresponsible, generous love can keep our communities strong and fun and healthy for everyone. The Spirit of Christ is hard because faithfulness is harder than being right. Communities like families and schools and churches and nations have a hard time accepting and loving a diversity of people because we're always trying to figure out if we're right, if we found the true path. And we all want to know that we've figured it out and that our sect, our clan, our tribe is right. Anyone who represents something different makes us question ourselves. And honestly, it's just easier most of the time to tell ourselves that we're right than to consider the value of someone else's perspective. But real community or relationship is about faithfulness to each other, even when we're different, when we're mistaken, when we're flawed. Faithfulness is belief in each other, sometimes even at the expense of our ideals. The Spirit of Christ is hard because gentleness is humiliating. Every telenovela or soap opera or action movie teaches you to get what's yours, to protect what's yours, to pay them back, to get revenge. Don't let them push you around. The choice to be gentle in a world that's armed to the teeth looks a lot like weakness, and weakness is something that we scorn. Why would you be gentle with your husband? Girl, you got to stand up for your rights and let him know who's the real boss. Why would you be gentle with your wife? Dude, you got to stand up for yourself and make sure she knows who wears the pants. Don't let her whip you. But here's the question. Do you love your partner? Or do you want other people to think you're tough? Do you love your kids? Or do you want other people to think you're a tough parent? You can't have both. The Spirit of Christ is hard because self-control is uncomfortable. When you deny your desires, your instincts, your appetites in that hot moment for the sake of your long-term well-being, it feels exactly like death. Our appetites want to be satisfied, our desires want to be filled, and it's very difficult to wrestle with yourself and give up on comfort for the sake of long-term good. But that is maturity. And to follow Christ means learning to control yourself for your own good and for the good of everyone around you. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. If you're paying attention, you'll realize that the Spirit of Christ is a lifestyle made up of the hardest things that human beings can do. But they're also the most important things we do, the things that make us truly human and not just animals who live by instinct. When we follow Christ, our relationships with other people can become the training ground for our souls. And if we practice the Spirit of Christ with others every day, over time, we will grow into the people that we imagine we can be. And we all need each other to get there. So, love is a risk, joy is a choice, peace is a sacrifice, patience is work, kindness takes courage, generosity is irresponsible, faithfulness is harder than being right, gentleness is humiliating, self-control is uncomfortable. And against these things there is no law, as Paul says, but you try it sometime. No, really, try it. The whole world is waiting for you. And if we live by the Spirit of Christ, let us walk by the Spirit of Christ until Christ is formed in us.